Now, today being the special day for Shri Vinayaka Murthy, Shri Ganesh Murthy, we shall try and relive one or two experiences with Bhagwan related to Shri Ganesha. Many devotees of Bhagwan would have heard about Shri Lakshman Chettiar. He and his wife were living at one time in Hosur. There's a colony of many apartments, a huge place, and they were living in one of those apartments there. And on special day, especially on Vinayaka Chaturthi day, there will be a procession. There used to be a procession carrying different idols of the same Murti, of different sizes and shapes. But that apart, they had no way to go to a temple nearby because there was no temple nearby. The huge area had not a single temple they could visit if they wanted. And what was more, some misfortune or the other was happening, and then the colony people decided to install the Murti of Shri Ganesha, build a temple, because Shri Ganesha is famous for breaking all the obstacles in the way of any work. He's Vigna Vinashaka. He would destroy all the blocks in the way of our destination. So they decided to install a Ganesha Murti, and they did in a certain place within the colony itself. Of course, there was no building around it. For Shri Ganesha, a very simple deity, you find him everywhere in India, under a tree especially. A simple tree would do for him. And the third day, Shri Vinayaka Murthy, the Murti of Shri Ganesha, was gone. Nobody knew where he went. It was only 2 days since they installed it, though there was no tower housing it. But the third day he disappeared, to the dismay of people. And they searched and searched. They ransacked. But finally they found him in a pit very near the place of installation. It was a pit filled with rubbish. The collection of rubbish there from the colony. Just imagine some heartless man, some insensitive man, did not have the culture to do anything else about it. He simply threw away the Murti of Shri Ganesha into this pit of rubbish. It was a huge dustbin, and Shri Vinayaka was worshipped one day and was thrown into the dustbin the third day. This happens even to the Murtis of gods. So what to say of people like us? One day God would put you on a pedestal, the next day you would find yourself rolling down to a deep pit. Now they were searching and searching, and finally they found him in that dustbin, the huge dustbin dug on the earth. And of course they immediately took him, dusted him off, and they kept him the same place. Now they did not know what to do, how to proceed further, because he was thrown away. So they were all waiting like a crowd around Shri Ganesha Murthy, and Shri Lakshman Chettiar was returning from some place. And as soon as he neared them, they said, "We are all waiting for you." Lakshman Chettiar was surprised. And then when he asked, these people said, "Look, we want a place, we want a pakka place for the Murthy of Vinayaka." Somebody had thrown it into the pit nearby. But we want to do proper installation of this Murthy so that we could worship him. But there's no way we can do it. Did you people find out who did that? Yes, it is the executive engineer of the housing board. He was very angry because we did not tell him before installing. We should have taken permission from him. Since we did not do it, he was so angry, he just threw it away. Then Lakshman Chettiar agreed to take efforts, and he went with some people to this executive engineer, and when he approached him, this executive engineer was so angry. He was all fire. He was so furious. He was pouring out fire on these people. So they understood they could do nothing with him. And then Shri Lakshman Chettiar remembered somebody, some VIP there in Chennai, whom he knew well. So he went with some people to this VIP and put forth the case. Immediately, this VIP understood the situation, and he was also angry the way Shri Vinayaka was treated. Immediately called the chairman of the board, the housing board, and blasted him, saying that there is no proper plan for these apartments, the colony apartments. They've already done a lot of mistakes, and there is no space for any temple, because according to the rule, if the colony people should choose to build a temple, a space should be given to them. This was the rule. And this chairman had not seen to it. Now these people had tried something, and this executive engineer he damaged further their efforts. So he blasted him, this higher up, this high official, and the chairman immediately realized his mistake. They had already committed some mistakes while building all those apartments. Now he knew he had to do something about it, so he said he would go personally there and see to it that a temple be built there. And true to his word, a few days after, he came to Hosur, visited Shri Lakshman Chettiar, and then he said, "Look, you find out a spot where you can build a temple, a spot that would be suitable to you people, and then I would help you every way." So they went there, and they chose a spot, and then they started building the temple for Ganesha. So the day came, they had to fix a day for the consecration ceremony of the Murthy, the idol. The idol has to be installed in a temple with Veda mantras and devotional songs and pujas and homas. So when this was approaching, they found in the Ganesha Murti, because it was thrown away into a deep pit where there was a lot of rubbish around, he must have hit upon something. So there was a crack in one of his toes. Naturally, these people got a doubt whether they could install a murti with a defect, because a crack in one of the toes, a defect, it is not the done thing. According to Shastras, they should not do that. So now Lakshman Chettiar did not know what to do. The only thing that occurred to him was immediately rush to Bhagwan, Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar. So he came all the way, and then he described everything that happened and said, Swami, the idol has a fracture. There's a hairline crack in one of the toes. We do not know what to do now. Should we replace it by a new murti for this consecration? Then Bhagavan looked as though he was shocked to hear it. And then within a fraction of a second, he smiled and said, Lakshman Chettiar, go ahead with the same murti. You can install him. The temple will come up very well, not to worry. He blessed them, he blessed the murti, he blessed all those people nicely and left them. They were all happy. Now the Bhagavan, the authority on divinity, had said so, and they had absolutely no compunction, no qualms about installing it anymore. They rushed there. So on the day of the consecration ceremony, Shri Ganesha Murti was installed with all that accompaniments in a very grand manner, to the joy of everyone around. This is necessary according to the traditional belief, traditional faith of the Hindus. When there is a murti of Ganesha, because this murti will destroy every negative force that would put a block in the achievement of anything, any work, any obstacles that happen before the completion of the work. So everybody in every Hindu household, before they start anything, they would worship Shri Ganesha and pray that there should be no obstacles, there should be nothing coming in the way of achievement. So the colony people were happy, and then this Vinayaka was called Varasiddhi Vinayaka, which means any boon given by him would find its fulfillment. And so he became very popular, very famous in that area, and people started to visit in crowds. Thanks to Bhagavan, he blessed those people, he blessed that murti, and the murti began to work with all its divinity. There's another incident. It was on one Vinayaka Chaturthi day, which meant the day Sri Vinayaka was born to Parvati and Sri Shiva. I had been to Sannidhi Street House for his darshan, for the darshan of Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar. When I went inside, I had come around 10 o'clock because he would always start his darshan around 10 o'clock. And then Bhagavan made me sit near the gate. In those days, that was the place allotted to me because I was going very often. I could not help going because I could not do anything without darshan of Bhagavan. I was in such a state that it did not matter to me if he denied his darshan, if he simply shooed me away. I just had to have a glimpse of him, at least at a distance. So I had come and Bhagavan said, it's okay, but you have to sit there near the gate and any time I tell you, you have to get out. I said, fine, even a glimpse at a distance was enough to make my day. So I sat there happily, and in truth, what happened, I had asked a friend to come that day from Chennai. She was in great difficulty. She was grief-stricken over something, some problem of the house. And she had an 8-month-old baby girl. She had to travel alone with this child from Chennai to Tiruvannamalai. So when it was getting to be about 11 o'clock, 11:15, I knew that was the time usually people from Chennai would come. That was Vinayaka Chaturthi day, the Jayanti day of Sri Ganesha. Bhagavan was seated there and L.I.C. Jayaraman was also there by his side. He had brought some modaks, very dear to Sri Ganesha, the snacks. And here I was sitting and hoping that Bhagavan would distribute some, that I could have prasad of Ganesha, which was prasad of Bhagavan also. And then suddenly I remembered it was 11:15 and maybe this lady might have come to the temple and was probably waiting for me to come because she did not know her way to Bhagavan's place and she had this child also to manage. So here, I was getting restless because this thought occurred to me and I did not know how to put forth to Bhagavan because it might be impertinence on my part to tell him, Bhagavan, please let me go and I would bring some. In any case, I had to tell him, I said, Bhagavan, a friend of mine is coming with an 8-month-old baby. She might be waiting for me in the temple. I had already taken permission from you for her darshan. And now she would be there. Can I go and bring her back? She would have come by now. Bhagavan did not say anything, he just kept quiet for some time. I became very uneasy. But then I had already asked, so I could do nothing about it. So when he kept quiet, again, something triggered in me, some thought, and I could not help blurting out, Bhagavan, it's getting late. Can I go and bring her? Because I knew Bhagavan would go inside at 12 o'clock. So there was very little time left. So I had to rush. I knew it might be impertinence on my part to ask him, but I felt at that time I had no other go. And the thing is, I was blabbering out of fear. I said, in 7 minutes I would be back here. Even today, till today, I had no idea why I said 7 minutes. I said, Bhagavan, I would go fetch her here in 7 minutes. Oh, 7 minutes. Jayarama. She says she would be back here in 7 minutes. All right, she can go. But Jayarama, if she doesn't return in 7 minutes, you see that bag which she has brought there, she has kept it there, we will put it outside. So it was very clear what he meant. And I had no idea why I said 7 minutes, and I had to be back Otherwise he would not give me darshan, he would put the bag outside. So I ran and ran as though the very devil was after me, much to the surprise of the passers-by in the street. Some of them even stopped and turned. But then I ran, unmindful of people around. All that mattered to me that I should be back in 7 minutes before Bhagwan closed the door. So I went there, but she was not there. She had not come. To my disappointment, I felt terrible. Anyway, I had to catch up, so I ran back again and was there panting for breath outside the gate. When Swami saw me, he was still seated there. He said, "Jairama, how many minutes have passed?" He said, "Swami, this is the 7th minute. Oh, 7 minutes are not over. Okay, you can let her in." I was still panting for breath, and then he made me sit in that old place near the gate. I felt very stupid. Now I knew better. I thought I would just leave it to him, not ask him any more. So I just sat there quietly. And of course, 10 minutes later, Bhagwan called me and dropped some modak also into my hand, just as I wished for it. Though I had forgotten by the time I came back all about it, the only thing that mattered to me was to be back before 7 minutes. Now, when I did not even think of it, he called me and dropped 2 modaks into my hand. He gestured to me to go back to my seat. Another half an hour or so, then he said, "Devaki, now you can go to the temple. Your friend would have come." How did he know? But I knew that he knew. Immediately I ran. And then she was there. True to his word, she was there. And then I brought her with the child. And then as soon as she came in, she dropped the child right at his feet, went to the seat he pointed out, and started crying. She cried her heart out. She was sobbing violently because her husband had gone to one of the Gulf countries. He was promised a lot of money, comfortable house, everything. But what happened was the reverse. They would not give him money. They extracted so much work from him. It was a torture to him. Day after day after day, he was going through endless torture. He had no idea how to come out of that. So he used to ring up to his wife and cry over the phone. Naturally, she was also tortured. And then that is how she came here. Bhagwan, she would not talk about it to him. She was simply sitting there and crying. Of course, Bhagwan always knew everybody's thoughts. As soon as the child was put at his feet, Bhagwan put his hand near the child, and the child caught hold of his thumb, the thumb that always moved with Ramnam incessantly. Now the child held it fast in its grip, and there was such tenderness on the face of Bhagwan, and there was a smile accompanying the tenderness, and with the other hand, he was stroking the child from head to foot, and again foot to head, and head to foot. And this was going on back and forth, for exactly half an hour. And in the meantime, this lady was sitting there and crying and crying and crying without telling him anything. And then at the end of 30th minute, Bhagwan just took away his hand and said, "Now you can take your child." The way he said was very businesslike. His entire expression had changed. There was no more the tenderness or anything. Father's work was over with the child. So he said, now it's over, you can take back the child. And then he blessed her nicely, saying that my father would help you. You don't have to worry. My father would do the needful. And then, soon after that, her husband was able to come back easily. And what was more, he got a job elsewhere in another country, and they could go there and settle down comfortably. But 1 year after, when she had come to India, I met her, and she said, the child never says I and mine. It always said, it would point out its body and say it. And the name given to the child was Anusha. So the child would say, Anusha wants this. Ma, please give this to Anusha. Ma, Anusha wants to sleep. Anusha wants to play. And then if mother offered something which she did not like, she would say, oh, this does not like it, pointing to herself. Her body was always it, and she never used the expression I or mine. The child was like that for 3.5 years. And in the meantime, the parents, the worldly parents, had seen to it that the child became worldly wise. They said, why are you saying Anusha, Anusha, and eat? You are Anusha. Pointing to her body, you are, this is Anusha, you are Anusha. Say I am, I want it. I want it, I don't want it. I want to eat. And they taught this child, and the child picked up and he began to say I and mine. See what the parents do. This is how we bring up our children. Bhagavan liked the story of Madalasa in Yoga Vasishtam, where Madalasa, right from the birth of a child, she would put the child in the crib and sing a song which ran like this. You are not the body, you are not the body. You are the eternal soul. O my child, I adore you, not because you are my child. I adore you not because you are a beautiful body. I adore you because you are an eternal soul. O my child, please know that you are not this body. You are the eternal source of all creation. You are Parabrahman. You are God. You are not a limited being. So she would sing a song like this and swing the crib. Bhagavan loved this story so much that at one period he would be asking the Sudama sisters one after the other to narrate the story to the audience. And he enjoyed listening to that. So you see, half an hour, Bhagavan's Bhagavan's thumb was held by the child, and for 3 years the child was unable to say I and mine. This happened on Ganesh Chaturthi day and in the presence of Bhagavan. A very memorable event for me for a long time. I used to tell people, take your child, take your children to Bhagavan. Now, we have come to know from Bhagavan's life that he was always found in the shrine of Sambandha Vinayaka in Arunachaleshwar Mandir. He always sat there. Many, many times, most of the times, he would sit only in the shrine of Sambandha Vinayaka. Not only there, when Bhagavan was in Theosophical Society, Chennai, he spent his days in that Ganesha temple near Theosophical Society. And again, some people told me that Ramanashram Road, where you turn towards a mountain, at the end of it, there is a Vinayaka temple, Ganesha temple, and Bhagavan was found often there. So in some way, Bhagavan was connected with Sri Ganesha. And what is Sri Ganesha? Is the embodiment of Om, the Pranava, the vibrant source of all creation, and a very auspicious God. Why? Because he destroys all the obstacles in the way of completion of any work. So today, we worship our Gurunath, Bhagavan Shri Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, in the form of Ganesha. For us, there is no difference at all. For us, Bhagavan, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar is Yoga Vinayaka. I remember in Sudama there used to be a lady devotee by name Amarjyoti Vijayaraghavan. Her Ishtadevata is Vinayaka. So for her, Bhagavan represented Shri Vinayaka. So every day she came and stayed in Tiruvannamalai for 1 week. And she was staying with Rajeshwari Amma. And whenever they came to Sudama, she would do what we call, Vinayaka is worshipped. The namaskar to Vinayaka is very unique. It's very different from the way we do namaskar to other deities. We raise both our hands and with the fist we hit the two sides of our forehead in worship of Vinayaka. There is a lot of significance behind it, behind this gesture. We wouldn't go into it, there's no need. But Amarjyoti always did that as she would do before the Murti of Sri Ganesha. And what was more, she would bring a certain sweet flower and then light a lamp in the middle of that. And that is the way she would worship Shri Vinayaka. And when she came and stayed in Tiruvannamalai, every day Bhagavan permitted her to do it to him. It was to make her understand that he is none other than Shri Vinayaka, Shri Ganesha. See, Bhagavan is referred to as Godchild. Pillayar. Ganesha is also known as Pillayar. Pillai is child. Pillayar is the divine child. That is why the term of respect there, Pillayar. It means Godchild. And of course, Bhagavan gave us to understand in so many ways that he was none other than Shri Ganesha himself. So there are ever so many incidents we can go on recalling one after the other to see what the connection is. And this Amarjyoti, Bhagavan, opposite to Sudama, there was a sculptor, Rajini Krishnan, also a painter, a very good painter. She was displaying her paintings there, and Bhagavan made Amarjyoti go there, choose a picture of Shri Vinayaka, and then when she brought it, Bhagavan stroked it several times, blessed the picture. She asked Amarjyoti to buy the painting. And then she brought the painting to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan stroked it several times and blessed the Murti and said, now you can worship this. These are all some glimpses of his connection with this particular aspect that's called Pillayar Shri Ganesha. Now on this auspicious day, let us pray to Bhagwan, who is none other than Shri Ganesha, to destroy all the obstacles, to destroy all that is unwanted in the way of cure of this COVID. This disease must go away completely. The virus must be destroyed